Ever since being elected governor, Jerry Brown has been fighting on a variety of fronts to try to solve the state's budget crisis. At this point, he is pushing for the passage of Proposition 30.
Proposition 30 is intended to raise $6 billion for the state budget by raising taxes on high earners temporarily and also raising the sales tax for everyone in the state by 1/4 of a cent, also temporarily. The money would be used to avoid cuts mostly to local schools and also to avoid some cuts to higher education, the University of California and California State University, as well as community colleges.
He and his allies argue that if this initiative isn't passed, that it'll force the state of California to cut very significant sums of money out of California's public education system, out of its public safety programs, and other necessary government services.
When we initially asked people about this measure, support was at 55%. When we went into detail about it and we explained to them that there would be $6 billion in new taxes, the support dropped to 51%, still a majority, but obviously a slimmer majority. The support really dropped when we presented the arguments for and against the measure.
The opponents of the initiative make the case that the state of California, in fact, has lots of money that it can cut out of the state budget, money that's not being spent appropriately. And they point to the governor's high-speed rail project, a recent scandal in the state's parks department, and raises that have been recently given to the state legislature's senior staff as places where money could be reduced without the passage of Proposition 30.
Now, that said, the opposition campaign is very limited. They don't have a lot of money. Some of the groups that might normally oppose a tax measure like this are either sitting this out or are actually supporting this measure because the governor worked hard to neutralize the opposition. And so while that message resonates, it may not get out there very widely because the opposition is not very well funded.
Proposition 38, an initiative sponsored by civil rights activist Molly Munger, would raise income taxes on almost all Californians. And so therefore its support in public opinion polls is much, much less.
Support is badly trailing across demographics. Among registered voters, only 34% support it and 52% oppose it. Democrats don't support it. So even among party differences, they can't expect to get much more support there either.
And because Ms. Munger's initiative, while it is spent primarily on K-12 education, because it does raise taxes on a much broader range of California voters, it's got a much tougher road ahead of it.
The real issue with Proposition 38 is not whether or not it will pass, but it's whether or not it could undermine support for the governor's tax initiative, Proposition 30.